You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
In the first 4 holes, 3 of them have hit porphyry-related alteration. We're seeing a lot of strong comparisons to the Las Bambas system based on what we know so far. A polyphase intrusive complex, overprinting skarn alteration features, and a lot of chalcopyrite and copper in the system. So we're just really encouraged by what we've been seeing. Hole 4 takes the learning from the first 3 holes and advanced us quite a bit further, getting to test that chargeability and see some validation with the model is going to allow us to really take the next few holes to the next level. We're going to be testing a really large system, and each hole is telling us that it's real, it's bigger than we hoped, and we've got a really good chance at tagging into something really exciting here.
Thanks for tuning in to MSE. I'm your host, Bill Powers. In today's show, you're going to be getting an update from one of our show sponsors, Coppernico Metals, ticker symbol COPR in Toronto. I'm chatting today with the founder, co-founder, and CEO, Ivan Bebic, as well as first-time guest, Tim Kingsley, the Vice President of Exploration. Gentlemen, welcome onto the show. You put out a press release last week up through hole 4. Ivan, could you kind of intro that press release to us and also intro Tim to us since he's a first-time guest? Why is he leading your geological exploration program?
Great. Thanks. Great to be back, Bill, and real honor to introduce Tim to shareholders for the first time on camera, although we've been on the road for the last 10 days together, and we've worked almost 2 years together on Coppernico. Tim's got an extensive experience in base metal exploration, specifically in Peru, where he worked with Chevali. This is critical, not only because he's understanding all of the geological aspects of the rocks and he's familiar with these type of systems, but because Tim also speaks fluent Spanish and he's able to maneuver in country and work with some really high quality Peruvian geologists based on his history and track record. As far as the company goes, you know, the project is always the prize, but the culture that we've been able to develop with Tim and the rest of the team in South America has been extremely strong. And it's been an absolute pleasure to start marketing the company with him and on such a great asset. As far as the press release goes, it's rare. You know, you don't see it often, but sometimes you do, to see companies like ours showcase the core in a press release. And we're not anticipating an intersection, but what we're trying to say to everybody is, and Tim will talk about it more here, the geology is what we were looking for to confirm some pretty big thesis on our project, and the early ramifications of a potentially successful hole on such a big target. You know, we're going for the next Las Bambas here is really, really exciting from our end. And we just want it to be fully transparent with our shareholders and corporate investors and corporate audience that's watching what we're up to. But this is an extremely exciting part in hole 4, what we've discussed in that press release and what we might have in front of us going forward.
Tim, can you talk about the visuals of that, specifically that hole 4? Why is that significant?
Sure. It's significant for, it really proves our thesis. We've been mapping a lot and seeing a lot of skarn alteration or mineralization on surface. And we had this idea that that should continue at depth. And we wanted to also get to test a few other geologic characteristics and geophysical characteristics with this hole. And so we started to see sulphides with some chalcopyrite from close to the top of the hole, all the way down to the bottom. We never really got out of them. We saw a significant increase in the amount of sulphides as we get a little below 300 meters, right where we start to get into a large chargeability feature, geophysical feature that we really want to test out. And we've just seen a lot of overprinting events, mineralizing events, that's giving us a lot of well, we're very excited about seeing these kind of indications. That it means the system is real, it's big, and we have a lot more to go explore. In the first 4 holes, 3 of them have hit porphyry-related alteration. We're seeing a lot of strong comparisons to the Las Bambas system based on what we know so far. A polyphase intrusive complex, overprinting skarn alteration features, and a lot of chalcopyrite and copper in the system. So we're just really encouraged by what we've been seeing. Hole 4 takes the learning from the first 3 holes and advanced us quite a bit further, getting to test that chargeability and see some validation with the model is going to allow us to really take the next few holes to the next level. We're going to be testing a really large system, and each hole is telling us that it's real, it's bigger than we hoped, and we've got a really good chance at tagging into something really exciting here.
So if the visuals match the geophysics, are you going to follow the geophysics then for the next holes?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's still early. It's only 1 hole, but one of our theses has been that the elevated chargeability was mapping sulphides below surface. And in the first hole, in that hole 4, we were able to confirm that. It's only 1 hole, so we need to do more work, but we're absolutely going to start working our way into that chargeability, putting hole 4 into context and targeting deeper into that system.
Ivan, to put out a press release with visuals only, you obviously thought it was significant. Ever since I've known you and have read your press releases, I don't recall a visuals only press release. Maybe could you give a little color to that, please?
Yeah, so base metals are a lot different than exploring for precious metals, and I predominantly have drilled for precious metals. And in the case here, where we see the base metals, you can obviously see certain metals being present. A lot of skarn, evidence of porphyry. You can tell that there's multiple events that have been pumping, fluids. It's called polyphase into this area. So, and as Tim pointed out, it's a very large system. It's very active. It's very mineralized. So that aspect there alone is very powerful from a model check mark on the geological basis. We obviously want to share this, and how meaningful can it be? Well, hole 4 is on the edge, and if you look at it in our presentation, it's on the edge of a very big chargeability target that's almost 1.5 kilometers long, trending towards the historical drill holes at Curaçao. And this opens up multiple kilometers of potential targets. Historically, geophysics have been, really speculative amongst geologists. People are afraid to chase them and follow them unless they're working. And I guess our big aha moment so far is that they look like they're working or on the edge of a big target. So that kind of sets the stage of how things could go potentially with more drilling. And as you've mentioned, we're going to start drilling toward the strongest part of that big chargeability target. And obviously we're going to test others. The other thing that's really complementing our geophysical targets is there's a lot of grade on surface, and that's really key. If you have a geophysical target, it can mean the wrong things or nothing, but when there's grade on surface, either width in trenches or numerous grab samples, is something you really need to pay attention to. And as a speculating explorationist, not just myself and Tim, but our board, Keenan, the rest of the team that's there with us, it's a spectacular speculation now to think that some of these things, when you look at the metrics and the scale and our scale bars, they're absolutely massive. So it's an early indication that we could be into a very good system. I can't tell you hole 4 is going to be the market discovery hole. It obviously has a chance to be a great hole, but I can tell you that, at some point here in the next 5 or 6 holes or maybe 10 holes, the chances of us confirming the model with some really good intercepts have gone up a lot from what we saw before hole 4. We are drilling for knowledge. This has never been drilled before for copper and gold, explored the way we're exploring it. I will say the work that Tim and his team have done, they inherited a lot of great work done by others previously, but they've really taken it to the next level. And once the drill comes out, you start to contextualize what that previous data meant. You start to learn, in our case, there's a tremendous amount more limestone. There's big sections of iron, which is very critical in terms of the elements you want to see reacting and collecting potential, copper and gold mineralization. So everything about this project is big, and it's a very exciting state. We've tipped our hat with the pictures of the core, and we've showed it to a lot of third parties. Everyone's curious, does it have copper in it, and what is the grade? So are we. But now we're going to trend towards the heart of that programs through hole 6, 7, 8. We'll be going towards the center of that big charge target. And results from this hole would be anticipated late October. That's second half of October sometime. And we're going to start analyst tours. And so we're at that stage now where we're starting extensive marketing. Our first week was at Beaver Creek. It was an incredible conference for us. We had about 50 meetings. We went there with 36. And the reaction on this project has been very positive. We're also extremely well funded. And this is just the beginning and a very, very, very exciting start.
Tim, what hole are you on as we chat? We're chatting on the 18th, Wednesday.
We're about to call our hole 6. We finished hole 5, and now we're stepping north of hole 4 to hole 6. Targeting a little deeper into that chargeability, deeper into some areas where we see a lot of multiple intrusive events, and testing some really interesting north-south structures that are carrying a lot of iron with grade on surface.
And Tim, is the reason why you only have one drill turning and not multiple drills because you want to see the data from each hole before you determine the next target?
Yeah, we're still definitely learning a lot with every single hole, and having just one rig at times is frustrating. I want more data to come out faster, but it's just the right pace for us right now. And as we start to if we get into discovery, that's the time when we can add a second rig or more rigs if needed. It allows the team to really push our geological understanding, and it allows us to conserve capital very well as we move forward. We're always worried about making sure that we're not spending too much money too fast, and we're taking the right approach there.
So you're funded for 30 holes, but are you submitting permits for holes beyond that at the current time?
Yeah, that's right. We're quite encouraged with the drill program actually from the start. And so we've already initiated a process to apply for the semi-detallado permit, which is a 200 drill hole permit, which will include the entire area, probably expanded a little bit more from what our current permitted area. And that'll give us the flexibility to continue to define and explore within it's a large system. We've got a lot of work to do still.
Ivan, you mentioned you were just at Beaver Creek last week. What were some of the top questions you got from investors at that conference?
Well, the first one was Treasury. How well funded are you? There was a lot of really good meetings that we had, and being in a position with about 15 million in cash and funded through 30 holes, possibly more, depending on how we spend the rest of it, was a great one. The second one was adding more rigs based on our presentation, looking at some of the rocks that we were showing photos of from our press release. That question, we debated ourselves of how we're going to drill this. And if you start getting into a discovery here, you want to keep drilling it. And, a kilometer long target would take a while to drill with one rig. And so we finally came up at the end of the show with a plan, which would be, if a discovery starts on one of those large targets, we would add a second drill to go test the new targets that we haven't tested yet. And our ambition, our anxiety is how many of these can we test in the near term to show the skeleton of some major potential skarn porphyry discoveries. And lastly, we can say now that the evidence of porphyry is quite serious. It's quite real based on hole 4 and in textures that Tim was talking about. And that gives us the complete system. If, skarn plus porphyry. And when you look over to Las Bambas, Constancia, some of those mines on the other side of the belt, you do see a lot of cases, the porphyry with the skarn. The skarn generally carries grade and the porphyry carries volume. So it's really exciting. Applying for 200 pads or more holes to drill is a very good indicator that there's a cost to that, and the cost is time and money. It will probably take till the end of next year to get that permit in hand, but we're taking that initiative based on what we're seeing so far and how the project's drilling, which is a very bullish signal. Second part there is if we drill 49 holes, which we're allowed to drill right now beyond our 30, that would take us right up to getting that second permit. So we're going in parallel with permitting as we are with our current drill program. And we're also starting to channel sample in new areas that are very robust that we're finally getting access to in the region. And so this is, going to be a massive catalyst driver with drill results soon, and a lot of areas that are going to strengthen. New targets are going to be showing up. And as we start to have successful incrementally, adjusting according to market conditions and capital availability with more rigs and move this forward at a very meaningful pace. You pointed out something that's really critical, and that's when it comes down to drilling ahead of the data or waiting for data. And currently the pace is perfect, but the anxiousness is to go further. There's a lot of discipline. And for the first time, I think in a while, you've heard Tim, our VP of Exploration, talk about conserving spending and being very efficient with their capital. This is a big reason why we're really working well together. And we're going to be averaging around 70 or better % of our capital going in towards the program and drilling at things relative to the program, which is another number that we're working on getting higher. And as we spend more, that number should increase. But it's very important to us that as much as we conserve elsewhere, it goes towards more drill holes, because that's where we have a chance as shareholders to make a tremendous return. being well financed is a luxury that not too many juniors have. Even though we see a big turn in copper in the metals market on the horizon, we're really beating down the disciplinary spending. The only place where, besides adding a drill at the right time, you see spending go up would be with our marketing efforts, because now we're very public and we're trading. We're almost there with a US symbol. It's very, very short period. We hope to have it. And we just, we want to go out and show the world that we might be on to, a real meaningful discovery. And that's going to be the spirit of our marketing as the first holes come out here in this quarter and into the next quarters of next year. So perfect timing from an exploration perspective to find something of consequence. And in the copper market, even better timing based on the outlook of copper, which is moving up as we're talking now in price.
Tim, are the assay labs in Peru efficient now in getting the assay results back to companies?
Yeah, they've been doing really great. It's been about 3-week turnaround time, sometimes a little bit faster, but consistently 3 weeks. And all our samples from hole 4 are out, made it to hit the lab, I think yesterday. So in a couple of weeks, we'll have them. We're really looking forward to seeing those results.
And so it'll be a batch release then, not necessarily a hole by hole. It'll be more of a batch released.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to have to talk about exactly how we want to release that. We'll see what hole 6 is. We'll have a good sense of what hole 6 looks like before those assays are back. And that may play into the strategy about how and when we release those results.
Yeah, Bill, it's just going to come down to material information. And when we have a material statement to make, that's when we'll put out the press release. We're confident on hole 4, but as Tim said, if hole 6 looks better and good too, we may want to batch a few holes to make a bigger statement, but that'll be all iterative to what happens at the time. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to all the results. We'll try to be as expeditious as we can. And right now it's a few weeks before we start to see it, and then hopefully a lot more press releases of great results. But figuring out what's meaningful and material by us and the company and the board, that's going to be the internal decision to be made. And you'll hear about it very soon, so will all our shareholders.
Okay, the company's website again is CoppernicoMetals.com. Ticker symbol in Toronto on the big board is COPR. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show and providing this sponsor update.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us.